Hey class, what's up? Welcome to the demo. Sideways Professor. Anyway, here we are. This is a demo for the assignment this week. So, just to get started, I got some collage materials, and also really sorry about the buzzing sound above me. That might happen from time to time. The neighbors vacuuming. But hopefully you'll be able to just hear my voice better than the vacuuming, even though it is very, very obnoxious. Anyway, I have some collage materials that I've just found kicking around. Like I said, I want you guys to keep it really simple, like not too many things. I have this book of Alfred Hitchcock cinema stills that I'm also gonna go ahead and tear up. I love so much to destroy material, but if you have cereal boxes or a magazine or a newspaper or anything like that, that would also be just fine. So I'm gonna think a little bit about composition because I want you guys to write about a little bit about what you're doing. So I have scissors, but I'm also just going to tear the paper, and I have glue stick, and I have a ruler, just in case I want to tear using the ruler. But I'm just going to think a little bit about composition. I got my paper right here, and I want you guys to do this in the spirit of Dada, but also give a little bit composition. So I'm thinking I'm going to do use a diagonal. So I'm just going to draw a little pencil and then maybe have my point of interest be here. Then maybe, I don't know, something like that. But it's going to be super simple. You don't want to get too complicated here. So when I just to do a little quick demo of setting up so I'm just gonna be real kind of random and have fun with it. Tear some paper, drop it down, see where it lands. So I'm just gonna start by gluing that there. And when you glue, you want to glue the back of the thing that you're gluing down to the paper. And then I guess I'll use the right angle. Yeah, I'll do that. It looks cool. Start. So that's my first move. So now what you'll see is a cut to the finished product in just 1 second. I finished my collage. It only took about 20 minutes, and I've started making my grid. And this should be all you really go for. This should be the extent to which your collage looks like. It shouldn't take that long. And I started out horizontally, right? Like this. And then, it was like this. And then I changed my mind vertical. I was like, okay, that looks cooler. And now I'm not so sure. So what do you guys think? I'm going to paint regardless, but I'm probably going to stick with vertical because I can always flip to horizontal. So the next thing I'm working on right now is creating my grid. And so before I get to that, if you guys want to do thumbnails, that's a good way to figure out your composition. So I just doodled and came up with the diagonal plan. But if you guys think, okay, I'm going to put my whole composition in the middle, you could come up with ideas on how to do that. Other ideas for compositions could be remember there's the rule of thirds, right? Or where you can put all of your important stuff sort of all along the lines of the divisions of thirds. So 1, 2, 3. Or another composition we learned about was the radial, where all of your collage elements kind of emanate out from a circle. So it's more like a flower. These are all different ideas for how to compose your design. So once you've done that and you've laid out your collage, once you're in your collage mode, I encourage you to sort of go with the flow and just chop up the images, lay them next to each other, see what speaks to you, see what feels cool, looks right, looks wrong, throw some colors down. It's kind of more of a feeling, less of a thinking type of a process. So once you get to this level of complexity, like I said, keep it simple because you're going to paint. Don't do it too complex. The next thing we do is we make the grid. So the concept of the grid is up here. So this is your collage, right? And this is your painting. So your collage has something on it. Mine has this kind of weird stuff, the shape, whatever. So it already has a bit on it, and the painting is a clean piece of paper. So you're going to make a grid. You're going to make the same amount of squares, rows, and columns on the collage as you do on the clean paper that you're going to paint on, right? And the paper is the same exact size, so they should match. And then you go square by square. These are eyeballs, and you go once. You look at this square, and you see what colors are there, and you mix them and you paint them here. So if there's nothing, don't do anything. But if you go down, this is an eyeball, to the next square, I have some pink stuff. So mix some pink and then paint it in here, right? And that's how you do it, just very slow and steady, one square at a time. I'm going to do a demo of that once I get there, but now I'm going to make my grid. I've already started making the grid. We're going to do a 1 inch by 1 inch grid. And what you want to do is you want to go super slow and steady and measure. I already did the length, the width wise, but now I'm going to measure 1 inch increments along this short side. When you do this, make sure it's exactly on the inch line. This has got to be very specific, right? And go all the way down it, inch line by inch line, right? And then you do that on the same side over here. Measure the end really exactly with the ruler. So it starts at the beginning of the ruler. And the beginning of the ruler, some of you guys know this, some of you guys don't. The beginning of the ruler is this line. It's not the edge of the ruler. It's actually this big, long first line, okay? So that's where you should line up the paper. And then each of the longest line, that's the inch. So you'd be really specific. I'm only going to go part of the way because you guys can figure out the rest. So you got marks on this side and you got marks on this side, right? So what you do is you line them up, starting with the further close one here. See how I got my marks lined up? And then you slice it down, make that grid, and you go all the way down the line doing that. Cool. I'm just going to do it. Cool. So it's going to be like this grid, but covering the whole canvas, right? And so what that does, it makes what you're painting very simple. Each square, you go all down the square, and that's all you paint for that little section. Then you move to the next square and the next one and go super methodical. I know it sounds like it takes a while, but you only end up spending like a few minutes, 10 minutes on each square because you're just laying in flat colors of paint, and it works great. So I'm going to draw my grid on my clean paper. As you can see, I have the same exact grid. Maybe it's a little light, but you can see I've created this grid of 1 inch by 1 inch squares over the entirety of the both papers, and they're exactly the same. The grid is equal. They're the same exact grid, same exact paper. I'm gonna get my paints. Hey, all right, here I am a few hours later, and right here I have the right here I have the original. Cool, my grid, and I'm working on the painting. Sorry, I have brushes in my mouth. Original, right? Painting. So I'm in this area right now, as you guys can see, which is right around, where is it? Boom. Right around here. So I'm just moving square by, like, kind of drawing with paint right now, getting this line of the red little by little, and then I'm going to work on this little area, this square right here, which is you got to do a lot of counting and check to make sure you're in the right place. It's easy once you get to the rhythm of it, but sometimes you can get lost, and that's why you have the grid, so you can be like 1 2 3 4 5 squares over, 1 2 3 4 up. So in my case it's 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 11 over, 5 up. So 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 5. So this is where I'm at. Cool. Oops, where's my tape? Great. So I'm just moving real slow along this paint line, getting my red in there. I got my palette. Your palette's gonna get a little sloppy, but just be patient with it and take your time. I keep glancing up at the collage, which is in front of me. I have it taped to the wall, which you can do yourself as well. And I'm just drawing with paint. You know, I don't really recommend drawing the whole collage first, although some of my students do that, and they don't seem to mind. So then you get bogged down in a whole extra step of erasing. It's best to just get used to drawing with paint. Cool, so that's enough of that. And so I know that this square gets all red. Boom. Okay, there's that. Just gonna finish up. I'm just gonna draw the top part. It goes up real high on this square and then down. Oh yeah. You gotta have confidence. And it's a lot like blind contour drawing or contour drawing, where you really do stare at the collage a lot and then allow for you stare and then check and then you make a mark. And then cross, then up. Cool. That's about it. And at a certain point, it's best not to get too ahead of yourself, and it's best to just paint according to what one square at a time. So I am pretty good with this So I'm just gonna fill in this red real quick, and then I'm gonna leave it alone, because then I'm gonna work on this bit a little bit, the collar right there. So I can already see that my red needs to come down a little bit. Needs to come a whole section down. But I'm going to do that a bit later. So guys, remember when you clean your brushes, you want to make sure that there's no leftover paint from the previous color on those brushes. So extra clean, extra dry is the way to go. And this is how my rag looks right now. Yours might get messy too. If you want to change rags every once in a while, that's good. I've only changed my water once, and I'm okay with that. Also, something about the paint, you can reactivate it with a little water if it gets dry. I like to give it a little spray with my spray bottle. So now I'm gonna take a look at the color of this guy's face, which is a lot like the color of her face. So I'm just gonna go back in. I have some of that left, and it's reactivated right now. And what that color is, that's just a mix of, pretty much it's a mix of this Tierra Sienna Brown and white and a little red, and maybe a little bit of the yellow ochre. So if I need to reactivate it, if I need to remix, I have the colors here. Throw some more in there. A little white. Lighten it back up. Might need to get more white. Lighten it up a lot. Some of the ochre. Some red. It'll get back to like a flesh tone. Some yellow. Color mixing is all about just looking and changing if you need to. Adding a bit, taking a bit away. Sorry, not taking a bit away, but sometimes shifting gears. Once you see how a color is changing, you can then add a little bit of this, add a little bit of that. But that's looking pretty good. You might need a little more yellow. It's a little bit too pink. But what I'm doing is I'm holding the color up to the collage to compare it, right? So this is a good base color. Let's see here. We got our dude. Let's see if we could see both. It's a bit tricky because it's distorted. But okay, so I am at, if this one's here, 1, 2, 3. So about 3 over from the hair, including the hair. 1, 2, 3. And that's where I'm going to start with. Oops, I already messed up. So it's okay. Starting the video kind of screwed me up. That's not your fault. So I'm gonna paint over the red that I just did. So I'm in the right place. From the side of the hair, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna paint there. And I'm just gonna start laying in the flesh tone, the shape of the guy's ear. Knowing I'm gonna change that a bit later. But just get the shape in and get confident. The collar is kind of like that. Ear goes pretty high up. And I'm not going to go too much because the red comes back over his face. So I don't really need to paint all that. So I'm gonna end up painting it out again. Cool, so there's the collar right there. Then fleshy. So I'm just gonna focus on this bit. Bop bop. I only need to paint that much because red's gonna go there, right? And then the sort of chin comes down. And I'm gonna leave space for that black because I don't really want to repaint. Oh, you can, it's, actually I will, I'll show you guys that. It's okay to paint a bit, down over where you know things are going to be black later, because black is one of those colors that are really covers everything really. So if you lay down a base coat, right, you can then cover it in black or a darker color. You can bring the light back over it as well. Luckily gouache is a very opaque type of paint, as long as you do it in layers or lay it on without water, like I keep saying. So I'm just gonna paint this. Okay, so that's pretty much all I'm gonna work on right now. Got the base coat in there. There's gonna be some hair and stuff on the side, but I don't really need to worry about that right now. That's enough to get started. Cool. So now clean the brush, because I'm going to stick with this little skinny brush. That seems pretty good. The sound of water. I'm scrubbing it around the bottom and then pressing it against the side of the cup and then drying it on the cloth. Cool. So like, I'm not going to use black. I'm going to use this brown because it's a little bit warmer. It's a little bit closer to the flesh tone. You don't really got to go black for everything, but the brown will definitely do the trick. I'm going to add a little reddish brown to it as well. Then I'm going to come down and draw in the shape of... I'm adding a little water just so it flows good, but really be careful with the water. Don't add too much. Shape of the jaw. And I'm keeping an eye on how low the jaw dips beneath the line of the square that I'm working on. Something just like that. And I'm going to leave that alone as is. Maybe I'll bring some more. I'm seeing that I got to bring some more up here like so. And also on the left side, add a little bit more red brown, and maybe a little white to lighten it up so that we can see it. That might be too light, but let's give it a try. It's best to try it and then paint over it if it ain't working. That looks good. Just glob on that paint, kind of like give a good, use the square. I'm just looking at a square and kind of seeing where that color goes, only in relation to the square, not in relation to anything else. So it's just really an abstract shape here. And the light's reflecting on it weird, but there it is. You kind of see it's not black. It's a little darker than the other. It's a little lighter than the other brown. It even could be a little bit lighter. But that's pretty good. I'm going to leave that alone for now. Maybe I'll just fill that all the way to the top. Like that. If you notice, there's the hair is going up into the next square. You could put a little color across the line, and that's totally fine too. Cool, so now I'm going to grab the red and I'm going to fix this real quick. Fix my error. So really it starts here. It comes down. I'm just going to, luckily, I could just kind of cross down here. Down there. Boop. No sweat. It's easy to fix. Paint is very forgiving. You just extend it or paint over it. It's all good. And this is cool. I like to work like this because it allows what I just did to dry, so that I can go over it in about 2 minutes. And I'm not really worried about the edge because in my collage it's torn, so I can give the sort of spirit of a torn edge without worrying about anything. It's totally fine. I'm going to throw this red up here because that's where it goes. And then down. Then across this bit over here, like so. Yep. And then just fill the rest. Leave that alone. Put my brush in the water. So that looks right. A lot better. Closer. Cool. Cool, so I'm gonna work on this face for a little more. Nothing too crazy. But yeah. Cool. So let's see here. What is next? I need to put the collar back in because that's tripping me up. It's like, where's the collar? It's missing. So I'm going to mix a gray with a touch of green because it's like a light greenish gray, and that'll be the shape of the collar. And that collar comes up there. Boom. Right there, and then down. And something I did that is a little tricky. If you fill in too much space of flat color, you lose the grid. So careful with that. Don't go too far because you don't want to lose yourself. Lose yourself without the grid. The grid, you need the grid. The grid is your friend. Here's the collar. Like a greenish gray. There'll be a little black in there later. And then I'm going to draw the rest of the collar right over the red that I made a mistake on earlier. Not a big deal. And I could already see right here the black is going to connect with the collar that I just drew. Then I'm just going to drop this all the way down to the middle of that square I'm in. And that's the new spot. It's correct. Cool. Now I see right here there's some black in the same square next to his hair and above the collar. So right in here. So I'm going to fill that in with black while the gray dries. Dry my brush, clean my brush, dry it, dip some black. Now this is actually black, I can confidently say. And this is kind of fun. I like this, like what I'm about to do, because I can kind of draw the shape of some hair that I know I will work on in a little bit. I'm just getting this The black actually comes here and drops down, and then a little bit down below the border of that square, and up again, and then the rest gets filled, and this little bit, that gets more color. Cool. That looks good. Letting that be. Clean my brush. Throw the other collar in there. Grab my color back. It's still sitting right on my palette. And just gonna bop that in there. Boom, done. Now I'm going to grab my red. Before I start working on the details of the face, I'm just going to get the shape of the red blocked in so that I know where I'm at, know what I'm doing. You could use the edge of your brush to create straight lines if you want. And then always the classic pull. Straight pull. Boom. And then gonna find where the red ends, somewhere up there. And then it kind of comes down when I get the curve and the edge of that green. Get my shape. There it is. Fill it. Great. Now that I have that, I'm going to, sorry for the light flare, looks like that. Let's do a comparison of color real quick. So I can already, the red of the collage is a little bit lighter and a little bit oranger, a little bit warmer of a red than the red that I mixed. Now that's okay, I'm not mad at myself, but I could add a little yellow or a warmer red. There's two different kinds of reds I have, but I don't have an orange, that's weird. But I'll add a yellow and that'll make it a little bit more orangey if I were to go over it, which I might. Great, so I'm gonna do a little spray on my palette. Check the time. Alright guys, I think that's enough demo. I don't want to drag this on too long, but that gives a good sense of how the process works between the two, the collage and the painting. So if you work steady, square by square, without getting too hung up on the squares, and then getting into details as you go, if you're feeling it, that's the way to work. Be careful not to erase your grid entirely. It's best to work square by square and be satisfied with how it looks, but doesn't have to be 100% perfect. That way you can move on and still maintain your coordinates, essentially, of where you're at. Cool, guys. Thanks for listening, and good work. If you guys are in the middle of this project and you want some, if you have a question about how to mix a certain color or want some guidance on how to paint, then hit me up and we'll set up a Zoom and I'll help with some color mixing, or even through email if you have a question about how to mix a certain color or anything like that. I can respond in email. I'm pretty good. I have a pretty good intuition with colors. Not perfect, as you can see, but pretty good. Anyway, thank you so much. Chat with you later. Bye.